Good to have you in. Cold and flu season. Try Vicks Sinex nasal spray. Lasts up to 12 hours. Be ready when congestion strikes. It's very funny. Just a reminder to everybody that the Lions just paid for a cornerback. They just went big, the Detroit Lions. Here are the 5 teams that are making the big splashy acquisitions so far in free agency. Browns, Jets, Raiders, Lions, Bills. Those are losing franchises with often dubious ownership. I want to remind you that Bill Belichick in the last week, we have a picture. He's on a boat. Mike Tomlin, we have pictures. He was at spring training for the Pirates. And Andy Reid got rid of 2 stars. And the Colts general manager, Chris Ballard, he just re-signed his own cornerback. I talked to Chris Ballard about a month ago about free agency. And you know what he told me? He goes, it's going to be crazy town the first 48 hours. He goes, I'm just going to go hide. He goes, I like my guys. I like my own players. Never forget, the New England Patriots have a motto. We're not just collecting talent. We're building a team. The Jets in Cleveland, I like some of the moves, but it feels like they're collecting talent. I like free agency. I like what Green Bay has done, mid-level free agents. But when you spend $84 million on Kirk Cousins, or $61 last year like Tennessee on Malcolm Butler, or $70 million on Nate Solder, or the Jets go huge on Trumaine Johnson, the stars in free agency, remember, this league is a value league. So even with Le'Veon Bell, you're not getting value. You're getting talent. But he'll never be, even if he ran for 1,500 yards, you're paying for every yard. And the Patriots have made let's be honest, they have made an industry, a cottage industry of value. Even Brady's at value. So it's not that I don't like this stuff. Just a reminder that the team that's not getting any credit is a team I beat up on, the Green Bay Packers, but they went out and actually found 4 starters. 3 of them are kind of mid-level free agents, and they're all good, and they're all going to start. And Green Bay drafted well defensively last year. Green Bay actually really did a nice job upgrading their defense, and no flash, and no big signings, and no headlines, and no Twitter love. But the Green Bay Packers did a really good job in the last 48 hours of signing upgraded pass rushers, and nobody's talking about it. I'm not saying I don't like free agency. Like, I love ice cream, not for breakfast. Like, the big spenders are the Browns, the Jets, the Raiders, the Lions, and the Bills. And by the way, the Colts have all the money in the world. They just re-signed a cornerback of their own, which is what they told me they were going to do. They like their players. They liked going 11-5. They like winning 9 of the last 10 games. All right, let's not waste any time. I am your stockbroker. We have a great last hour, by the way. Joel Klatt is going to join us last hour pro day. Kyler Murray's throwing now. I'm your stockbroker. You're asking questions. I'll give you tips. Buy, sell, or hold.
Time to buy, sell, or hold.
I'd buy that for $1.
Colin will decide if he'll buy it, sell, or hold.
Please hold.
Buy, sell, or hold. Odell Beckham Jr. and Baker Mayfield will win a playoff game next season.
Well, the Browns haven't won a playoff game since 1994. And Baker and Odell do not have a playoff win in their career collectively. I think something that needs to be discussed is the Browns' schedule is going to be tougher. Anytime you add new players, it takes time to create chemistry. The new CBA, you have fewer practice days. They're going to be exciting, and they're going to be better. But in that division, the AFC's not been this strong in years. Colts, Patriots, Chiefs, Chargers, Steelers aren't going away. Ravens have made 2 signings. John?
Sell.
I think they'll be better and more exciting. I don't see them hosting multiple home playoff games. I think this is a team that will be better, but not nearly as good as everybody says.
Buy, sell, or hold. Le'Veon Bell will lead the league in rushing.
Actually, even behind the great Steeler offensive lines, he never led the league in rushing. And for the record, he's only played 16 games once in his career. He is a very, very good pass-catching running back. Last 2 years he played 160 catches. So I think a big chunk of his yards with Sam Darnold will come in receiving, not just carrying the ball. So, John,
Sell.
I don't think Le'Veon's going to lead the NFL in rushing.
Buy, sell, or hold. Juju Smith-Schuster will have more receiving yards than Antonio Brown next season.
Steelers passed for 67.4% of their plays last year, led the NFL. Big Ben at the line of scrimmage likes to audible to throws. And by the way, Juju had 129 more receiving yards than Antonio Brown last year. So, John, massive year, and a quarterback, Big Ben, that's going to want to elevate Juju Smith-Schuster to prove Big Ben can make anybody great.
Buy, sell, or hold. Aaron Rodgers will miss the playoffs for a third consecutive season.
There is a trend going on. I know people in Green Bay think I don't like the Packers, but I'm going to list their last 5 years. They won 12 games in 2014. The next year they won 10, 7, and 6. Anybody spot a trend here? By the way, their schedule next year, they play the AFC West, Kansas City, Chargers. They play the NFC East, Cowboys, Eagles. John?
Bye.
I think they'll be better. I think their defense will absolutely be more formidable, but I think the Vikings and the Bears have better rosters.
Last one, buy, sell, or hold. Kyler Murray will get drafted by the New York Giants.
Well, the Giants are picking 6 overall, and the Giants should have picked Sam Darnold last year at number 2, and then Odell Beckham would still be a New York Giant. Okay? So the problem with the New York Giants is quarterback, and it's very difficult. This is a very conservative fan base. I've often compared the New York Giants to the Michigan Wolverines. They've been winning for a long time. It's an old fan base. It took them a while to embrace Odell Beckham. They get offended very easily. They love their Eli Manning. I think it is asking too much to draft the opposite of Eli Manning. It's hard enough to replace him, but to get the opposite, a wildly dynamic, smaller quarterback that plays the position differently, yeah, if he was available, I wouldn't have a problem drafting him. This is maybe the most conservative franchise in the NFL. The Mara family, they very much check the temperature of the room. And, I mean, listen, this is a franchise, the Giants, that just told us he was not tradable, and then they just traded him. And, by the way, they also were so conservative they wouldn't get the best deal. They traded him to the AFC. Reportedly, there were better deals in the NFC. And they weren't even comfortable doing that because they didn't want Odell Beckham to come back in their stadium and beat them. So, John,
Sell.
I don't think Kyler Murray is going to get drafted, by the New York Football Giants. Joel Klatt, also Montrezl Harrell of the Clippers, absolutely interesting, fascinating. Clippers are one of the great stories in the league this year. Nobody's playing harder than the Clippers. I mean, in terms of Clippers playoffs, LeBron, 14th seed, what a story they've been. One of their young stars next.